My name is Chukwuemeka Eze. I'm a co-founder of Revive Earth Limited. Revive Earth Limited is a startup based in Enugu State, Nigeria. We focus on making electric vehicles, and currently we are focused on retrofitting already existing tricycles, converting them to run on pure battery electricity. I consider myself a tinkerer, and I started off as a young boy who was very passionate about getting hands-on, putting stuff together, batteries I picked from the streets, spoiled batteries, and then we believed that if you put them under the sun, it will recharge again. And I used them to do these little projects like light up LEDs. At the time, I didn't know what they were. I struggled to get through primary school. And when I finished, I couldn't even go to secondary school. My father was already making arrangements for me to go and learn a skill. And because of what he saw me as, he thought the perfect place for me would be a radio mechanic workshop. So he already concluded arrangements for me to go there. But then one of my relatives was a teacher who was in close touch with my teachers in primary school. He said she came around one night, just the night before the resumption of school that year, that new term, and she said she wouldn't sit back and watch me go to learn anything. That she feels that I should further school, and got admission to the University of Nigeria, not even into engineering, because my score in JAMB was poor. I got admission to combined physical sciences. So, and why I decided to buy change of course form then to combine physical sciences was because I saw that I could easily combine two courses that were related to engineering and make my way to engineering after my first year. So I went ahead to meet the HOD of electrical engineering, and it was Professor Diogo at the time. It was in 2015. So he assured me that if my GP was up to 3.5, I could continue with second year electrical engineering students and not go back to first year. Eventually it worked out. That was how I became an electrical engineering student. But then I was already I already understood the system. I was going to school with this mindset that engineering would be hands-on, that I would become a professional in getting hands-on, and all those things that I used to imagine were possible. I could actually learn to do them on my own. And I began to tinker with my computer, searching the internet, YouTube and everything. And what I would search for would be things related to circuit design. And I stumbled into embedded systems. But then when I started exploring that area, I started, the works of Tesla kept reoccurring on my searches. And I picked interest on it because before then I didn't know that it was possible to have an all-electric vehicle that didn't need fuel at all. So I started studying Tesla, and I saw that the work of Tesla was almost perfect. It's something that is competitive, something that could stand side by side with the already existing vehicles that have been under development for years. And then I began to learn that even the electric vehicles have been in existence even far before the gasoline vehicles. So Tesla leveraged on all these technologies to build a complete system, a computer on wheels, as they called it. But then what significant thing they did is not the technology, it is the commercialization of electric vehicles, all electric vehicles, in a scale that nobody could argue with. So they were able to actually develop a market, kind of build a market from scratch. So going through school, it was very challenging because the finances were not very forthcoming. And I would from time to time go to embark on personal projects on one design or the other to try it out, see how it works. Sometimes I'll burn my hand, sometimes I'll burn my mouth, get electrocuted. And then each time I spring up and I continue. I came to Greenage in 2018 to do my mandatory internship. I started making automatic transfer switches for homes. I saw that the generator in the house I would be the person to stay awake to make sure I turn off the generator. There were some works, some stuff going on circuit design, and one of them was related to automatic transfer. So I quickly picked that up and developed one to solve that problem. I sold a number of them. I started DreamFix Technologies for domestic use, like automatic transfer switch that would switch between the normal public supply and generator. It's an automatic transfer switch. What it basically does is to switch power. It's like what your changeover does in your house. It's actually an automatic changeover. So it switches power between your public supply, NEPA, and generator automatically. Like this module that you can use to enter numbers into the system, and those numbers will tell the system, I want my gen to run for 2 hours, or I want my gen to run for 4 hours. So I don't have to stay awake waiting for the time to off the gen. And the plan was to sell those devices, make similar devices, and try to raise money on our own to go into e-mobility. As now final year students in school, we were introduced to a pilot scheme that was championed by the National Automotive Design and Development Council, the NADDC. And the scheme was to challenge universities in Nigeria to come up and demonstrate some capacity to champion electric vehicle research and development for commercialization. The forerunner of this program was Engineer Professor Zimonani, and he quickly gathered us students then. And because I was already working on that, I found it like a calling to try to do something out of the ordinary, something in a higher scale from what I've been doing all this while. The good thing is, the project was successful. By July of 2019, we unveiled a fully functional electric vehicle. And that one was built from scratch. Both the chassis and the body, as clumsy as it looked, everything was built from scratch. So it was very exciting for me, because the kind of audience we had then motivated me to look at it more deeply. The beginning of 2021, where we first saw that the time we spent working with the professor back in school was not a waste, because most of the paperwork we did, we were able to relate them to what is obtainable in the market. And the first potential we saw was the tricycle market, because we discovered that tricyclists, from that data we had, it means that tricyclists could save up to 60% of their fueling cost by using electric vehicles. We didn't see the other aspects of that comparison outrightly. It was much later that we started seeing that they could even save on maintenance, because they don't have to work on their engine anymore. They don't have to work on things like oil, change oil every week, work on piston and rings, work on carburetor, or work on their spark plug or rings or fibers, stuff like that. And it now motivated me to see how we could commercialize electric vehicles, how we could make tricycles. And the easiest way we saw was to retrofit already existing ones, because the market had a lot of tricycles. We saw it as it would be difficult to convince the larger people who already are using tricycles, who already have enough, maybe in terms of their plan or something, to buy our electric tricycles. We discovered that we can take these tricycles, the existing ones on the road, maybe the ones that their engines have gone bad, and remove the engine or remove parts of the engine and connect an electric motor to the crankshaft. And this electric motor was to be powered by batteries through an electronic controller. So this controller is like an inverter, like the type you see here, that takes power from the battery and modulates it to give different levels to the load. And in this case now the load is the motor. We now have you now have plenty of these in series, and each of them in that connection is monitored so that it does not overcharge and it doesn't over discharge. So I connect the controller here, controller chip here, and then connect this guy to my computer. So my computer provides the power and also the data transfer. So once the chip is programmed, I now take it to the circuit. Once we get this tricycle, we remove some of the engine components, connect the electric motor to the crankshaft, then connect the batteries, then every other thing that is needed. Then to now maintain the auxiliary systems that already exist in the tricycle, because we don't have to go and start wiring it again since it is already wired. So what we just do is to get a DC to DC converter. Normally the tricycle has a battery that powers the auxiliary system, but we no longer need that battery since we already have a central battery. So from that central battery, we now connect a DC to DC converter that now gives us the power we need to power the auxiliary system, because the auxiliary system is on a different voltage level than the central battery. That's why the DC to DC converter is there. So then once this is done, we carry out the testing that is required, and once that is perfected, the vehicle is ready to be used. So the camera is an independent system, but then it is linked to the user. It could be Revive Mobility or an independent merchant who decides to have his own system operating. So if you, as a merchant, has bought maybe 10 tricycles that you want to have these systems on, you can give them to different drivers. If you have your own charging infrastructure and everything, then you can monitor these 10 from your home. The integrated camera and the mileage capture solves two problems. One is the problem of accountability. So you no longer have the fear of my driver is lying to me, I don't know how much he's making. The driver is happier if he could be more truthful, because if he makes 10 naira, he knows how much is his own from there, and he's going to get more because of course the cost of operation is low. And the second problem of theft, of course, there's already a GPS system on the tricycle as we speak. So, and it is integrated in all of them. So the location, especially of the battery in the tricycle, is tracked everywhere. And it is not something that you can disconnect because the computer is always on. You cannot turn it off. You can turn off the vehicle, but you cannot turn off the control system that integrates all these other systems. Our plan is actually to have this retrofitting kit in a way that anybody can do it. Like the same way a mechanic can take a tricycle and replace the brake cylinder, buy a kit from a vendor, replace the brake cylinder, or change the entire brake pads, or change the throttle cable, or change the clutch cable, or any of those things. We want the retrofitting kit to be a pack that you can buy from us, and then you as the user of the tricycle can retrofit it yourself. I have a team, and my team is currently Greenage technical staff. And that's why we operate in the inverter manufacturing factory. So the engineers and the technical staff that is here, at intervals, I can work with any of them. I also have some keke mechanics, tricycle mechanics that work with me. We hope to have at least 2 charging stations here in Enugu, mega charging stations, from where we would distribute batteries to our swapping stations for every tricycle user. Well, the means we are putting in place to get the funding is to talk to stakeholders in the industry. We are also looking at investors who will be willing to invest in this. That's why we have thrown up a business model that can actually include everybody. So we have the Revive Mobility. So we don't have to wait for the market to be ripe in a way, maybe when we start having our charging stations and swapping factories. How we hope to do it is, Revive Mobility is going to be an investment platform, a transport service company that is going to be open to the general public. It will be a PLC. So anybody can invest by buying Revive Mobility token. So once you have it, it means that you have a part of the business. You have a tricycle, a part of the tricycle running for you. So Revive Mobility would now be a live wire for our manufacturing processes. It's very much still in incubation process, but before the end of this June, we should get it up and running. We have a number of tricycles now under the process of retrofitting. So they'll be ready before the end of June. So we hope to put all of them on the road to operate on that model so that we'll see how it works. We are Revive Earth, and we take it one step at a time to make our Earth a better place by removing gasoline vehicles that pollute our environment. We are located at number 2 Constitution Road, New Market, Enugu. And you can also find us in the factory here at kilometer 10 Enugu Onitsha Expressway, opposite Air Force Base. And with our line of products, we solve problems for an average commuter and also the tricycle rider and you as the investor.